in Minneapolis has sparked lots of debate and discussion nationwide. 37-year-old Renee Good was shot behind the wheel of her car minutes after dropping her child off at school.
And joining us now, it's Daryl Maureen, president of the group Forward Latino, and security expert Brian Dora. We're so happy you guys are here. We first want to play a clip for you from this afternoon from Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem.
Domestic terrorist, though, without an
This was an act of domestic terrorism, which is perpetuating
no investigation into who she was or what she was about, and yet now you're saying
these policies and procedures that follow a use of force situation like this are continuing to be put in place.
So we just heard Secretary Noem again called Good's action domestic terrorism and says the agent acted in self-defense. Brian, I want to start with you for the first question here. I mean, what are the rules for officers? What are they trained to do for firing at moving vehicles?
Yeah, so regardless of firing at a moving vehicle or firing in general, you need the justification. And to have justification for deadly force, it's behavior which has caused or imminently threatens to cause death or great bodily harm to you or another person, coupled with the agency's policies. And that more or less dictates when an officer or an agent is able to use deadly force. So it's focusing on the behavior, what is taking place, whether it's a moving vehicle or whether it's another fluid situation.
Follow up to that, does it complicate the investigation that there are so many different videos out there? I'll start with you, Brian.
Yeah, it does. And certainly everyone has their own take on it. Everybody's looking at the different perspectives, blowing it up, and so it does. It really, in an investigation like this, there's more to a video. Certainly got to interview the witnesses. You have to, you're going to look at different markings and all the other things, but certainly it does complicate it when everybody's showing the video and looking at the video and coming to their own judgment.
Daryl, I want you to react to what the Homeland Security, what Kristi Noem was saying today.
Yeah, well, it's very disappointing. While I think everybody draws their own conclusions immediately, it's human nature once you see the videos. For her to come out before any investigation's done and call it domestic terrorism and to place the blame squarely on Mrs. Good is unfathomable. In October, the same thing happened in Chicago. A person was shot, a young lady, 5 times, and they said it was an act of domestic terrorism and that she rammed the car of the ICE agents, etc. And in the end, they had to drop the charges because it was completely fabricated and there was no evidence to prove any of it. So we just, people need to have faith in their government, and when they see knee-jerk reactions and extremist statements like that, it just undercuts the legitimacy of the efforts they're trying to do.
So what has been the impact here locally as the videos are surfacing online? What are you hearing?
Well, fear and anger. So amongst not just immigrants, but communities of color, a whole lot of fear, because this isn't an isolated incident. We're seeing overreaching actions and violence taking place all across the country. And then real anger outside of the immigrant community. We're getting calls with people offering to make donations and volunteer on a scale we've never seen before. They say, we may disagree with you on some of these policies, but what's happening these days just should not happen in the United States of America.
It's amazing you could take, especially the first video that was released that most people saw, and people are seeing it through 2 different lenses. But I want to ask you, because you've worked in the Trump administration, this will be on the desk of the FBI, and I know there's been some news today that Minnesota investigators, they won't be able to work on this. I don't know on the jurisdictions about how that works. Who should be investigating this? Does it get complicated if you have state and federal, or was that a mistake?
Well, certainly when it involves a federal agent, the FBI is the investigating authority of that. So certainly they have the right to cooperate or, with the local authorities, state authorities. But it looks in this case that they are taking the investigation and exclusively doing the investigation. But certainly that's within their purview is to do it. It's a federal agent involved in a shooting.
We've seen, a lot of people talking, a lot of press conferences. But Brian, I mean, the people who actually work at the agency that will do the investigation, you would hope they put the politics aside of it. And some of the people who've worked on big cases like this.
Yeah, you would definitely want it. Certainly everyone's rushed to judgment. I think at this point, everyone wants to hear the facts, all the facts, and a thorough investigation is certainly that way to add credibility to the situation. And I know that my friend Daryl, but I would also say that, what he talked about is certainly I can't emphasize enough, if law enforcement is giving you a lawful order, I mean, that certainly is the key, is just obey it. If you don't like it, certainly it is what it is, but when they're giving you a lawful order, certainly the best thing to do is follow what they're saying.
Daryl and Brian, you both agree on the facts of the case have to be followed, and that's the most important thing here. But Fort Latino is also urging folks to document if they see an incident of overreaching.
Yeah, you know, we support men and women law enforcement in the U.S. military. That's without question. But sadly, we've been seeing so many rights being violated, so many abuses occurring, that we've been forced to make the recommendation that people document what you see. And it's within their lawful right to do so. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Don't obstruct an investigation or detention, but document what you're seeing, because sadly, I can tell you right now, we have caught a number of different violations taking place, some that were quite brutal. And it's without that documentation, without that video, et cetera, there's nothing we can do about it. So we're asking people, be respectful, observe, right? Don't interrupt, don't obstruct, but please document in video or photograph what you're saying.
All right, Daryl, Maureen, thank you so much for being here. And Brian, any follow-up? I just want to ask, does the reaction of the officers, the other agents, will that also be a part of the investigation of how this incident was perceived by the different people who were involved?
Absolutely. So they will be interviewed, you know, and determined, you know, what role did they play, and what did they see, and how did they feel, you know, were there possible other alternatives that could have been deployed. All that certainly will be taken under an investigation as it unfolds.
Guys, thanks for coming in. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.